All right, y'all. Good morning. Here we go. Live and recording, I think. Test. There we go. Let me just turn my music down just a titch so the mic doesn't pick it up. There we go. Got some cozy jazz playing on a YouTube stream. So, good morning, y'all. It's Wednesday, December 17th. We are 2 minutes until open. So yesterday was pretty wild. Seek and destroy, contract rollover. I'm anticipating a little bit better price action today, but I'm definitely still on high alert. Really, we're at a zone, so the biases are all mixed. The time frames aren't aligning for me, and I'm bullish on the daily, but on the 4 hour, I'm bearish. This up here is a zone where I'm expecting, if it is bearish, it's gonna keep going bearishly from here. Overall, my expectations for the open is I would like to see 930 trade down, which it has, I think, 3 of the last 4 days. It's been a bearish 930 open. I'd like to see 930 trade down into some levels, specifically a 1 hour fair value gap somewhere down in here. At which point I could potentially consider taking a long. And that's pretty much the only thing I'm seeing on the charts for me. 930 typically is making a model, but it's not always my model. It was one of the days, and I tried to get in and just it ran without me. We have 1 minute till open. We can see prices already starting to distribute. We have these tailless candles right here. Where's tailless? And we're currently consolidating around the previous day high. So for me, 25,355, somewhere down in there. Somewhere around the previous week's low, I'd be interested in a long potentially. We have the regular trading hour gap below. We have the new day opening gap below, but that's been traded through. We have midnight open all the way down in here, this blue line. So there's a lot of reason to deliver to sell side. Looks like feel like on the 15-minute chart, candles are starting to look like they got less volume now. So it looks like 930 is taking some liquidity. It looks like it wants to flip that. Fair value gap possibly. I don't have a long here though. That's okay. I want to see price come down, and then I'd be interested in doing something somewhere down in here. But I'm going to run real quick. I forgot. I got to turn something off real quick, and then I'll be right back. Didn't miss anything. A little bit of indecision on this open. All right, so we tapped into the 1 hour gap that I was interested in. There is a tailless candle just a little bit below, so I would like to see it come down. Looks like YM is decoupled. So here I'm imagining some other gap probably forming. All right, tapped into the new day opening gap. Tapped into the regular trading hours open. London low has been swept. Curious here if I even wanted to. So we have the possibility for 3R, even if we have to use both gaps, just kind of sizing up my risk. I'm not going to increase my risk until after the new year, I decided. So here's our current gap. I could form more gaps, so we'll just kind of keep an eye on it. So here we're at the previous month's equilibrium, previous week's low. London low's been swept. There is a 15-minute SMT currently forming. Unconfirmed. Same thing with the 1 hour. Now YM is over here doing its own thing. YM's the strongest, NQ's the weakest. So 938, if it doesn't pop up and make a nice V-shaped recovery in the next 2 minutes, then I probably don't have a long. That said, all the time frames, 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, they are going to be forming a more bearish candle than a more bullish candle, which isn't a deal breaker, but it is something I take into account. All right, so it looks like we're going to form potentially an order block for lower and or a consolidation right there. Noticing these larger wicks on some of these candles. And yeah, close below this candle, so we have an order block. I'd like to see another gap form maybe right down here. This is also a 4-hour volume imbalance down right here. And we're outside of macro, so no trade. Ooh-wee. So just wait till the next macro, watch price and read it. Remembering I'm here to read price. I'm here to master the craft of reading price. So I had denoted these this trend line liquidity for 930, took that out, took out that equal low. This gap is getting far away from us, so it's more irrelevant at this point. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to read price. And if it's perfect and if it's obvious, then we trade. That's how I was taught. It's easier said than done. All right, we got 1 minute left on this 15-minute candle. And the 5-minute candle. YM is kind of just consolidating in place. Starting to see a bit of a reaction down here. It's outside of macro. I also don't have an inversion down here. There is a 2-minute, small 2-minute, but it's outside of macro. What I'm seeing here on this other screen, so look on the 1 hour, there's all of this consolidation from yesterday in this zone. I really would like to see price find support from this accumulation range. And this for me is kind of the line in the sand. I can be bullish above, in and above here. And then below that, I'm just not feeling much in terms of bullishness. It's coming down into discount of this range. So Usually I'm okay with longing much further into discount. Like, there's maybe down in here, I would take a long right here. That's way far away. There's some equal lows right down in here. I'd much rather get on the ride down. So in the 15-minute, we flipped Asia. So kind of indicating to me, we flipped the new day opening gap. Possible for, London high a day, which would be the London protraction profile. 1 minute's just sinking. All right, tapped into the previous day equilibrium right here. We have a whole bunch of gaps above now as targets. My only issue is it could potentially be offside for that. So we have these levels now above us for previous week's low, previous month's equilibrium, midnight open. Kind of bridging into that territory of questioning longs. So it's possible this is a valid trade. I don't think I'm going to take it. I don't have a level that I'm interested in. I guess midnight opens there. So the way this candle closed tells me it might want to roll over a little bit into the gap, into this fair value gap right there. We have this relative equal lows, trend line liquidity sitting right there. Five-minute close to C2 bullish candle. YM is still pushing bullishly. Just waiting to see. Like I could take this breaker potentially, but I don't like how it's all looking. We've swept 1 hour liquidity, 4 hour liquidity. But I don't have any. I typically like to see a 1 hour fair value gap. At least if I'm taking a trade against this kind of a trend. All right, so 'See the candles? We're just getting more tails and wicks on them. Like you'll have these clusters. You see these. Well, I guess that's 930, but even still, like, see, look at these clusters and then distribute, and then clusters of these tails and wicks. So far, oh, excuse me. So far, I'm glad I didn't take that inversion. Mhm. 4 minutes left on this 1 hour candle. So it looks like this candle may close above this breaker. What do we got? 9:57. So we have 2 minutes left on the 1 hour, the 15-minute, the 4 hour. So this candle looks like it might close above this breaker. So I placed this in my head where I would have marketed in. I'm thinking this is going to go. I'm just not convinced. So retesting the breaker. All right, so we had the 15-minute candle close. It did close a C2. So had I entered, I would be stopped out right there. And I put although my stop should have been below the breaker, if it was going to go, it should have gone. Otherwise, it's just going to be consolidating right down in here. Really? Here's a stop hunt and here's an inversion. I kind of see it more as a short, but it's also a weird zone where it's like a ton of sell side liquidity has been taken. So what's the reason for it to go lower? I don't know. So that's where my narrative isn't solid. You know, if we were more up in this zone and there was this relative equal lows, this low and this low, still to come, then yeah, I could see more reason. Not that there's not equal lows down in here, but I'm just not that convicted that it's that bearish yet. But nothing to do here at the moment. So I'm going to go grab something real quick. Oh, look at that. A little bit of a response there from this consolidation. And so we're tape reading this. Maybe here would have been the trade. A little bit bigger of a stop given what we're seeing here, but it has reason to go up. There's inefficiencies. There's a 15-minute gap, a 1-hour gap after sweeping liquidity. Just doesn't look right to me. Still not really wanting to move a ton. And that's why I'm just sitting here. Because the true craft of a trader is waiting, is patience. So looking over here, I wanted to see Benjamin SMC. He took that long. And it looks like Nutty is flat on the day, which is interesting. Nutty Bar is, I've been watching him for a while. He's grown a lot in the last year. You used to see him just like get into trade after trade after trade and run his accounts down, and he was stressed. And more I've been looking over, and I think he's doing like one trade a day or something like that. I forget. And you look over, and he's flat on the day. So it says a lot of nut to me if Nutty's flat. So it looks like Lumi is long here too. Oh, looks like with Tanya. Is she not live on her own channel? Doesn't look like it. I don't have many of my YouTube subscriptions on this account, so I keep subscribing to people. That's why. Huh. So we shall see. Looks like everyone longed this. I can't check in on some of my mentors. I wish I could. I'd be curious if Hydra longed this or not. Just heard Tanya say something like, if it closes below this 30 seconds something, maybe an order block or gap, she's going to close her trade. still think it's a little more bullish. The 4-hour closed, we can see with a close above this volume imbalance, a relatively strong reaction. Not insanely, but relatively strong. And then we have this inefficiency now created where this next 4-hour candle can trade up into this one. Same thing here on the 1 hour. Here's this current inefficiency that could be traded up into. And then similarly on the 15-minute. YM looks like it's generating sell side. ES does too. YM a little less so, but still like trend line, right? Just sitting through consolidation, man. What time is it? 10:20. Well, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Here's the previous day equilibrium. Here's the previous month's equilibrium. I'd be really curious, actually. Let's. Oh, wow, it's the 243s. So the equilibrium of the Goldbach range is still up here. Let's try the 729. Equilibrium's down there. Generating a little bit of trendline liquidity. What do you think? Is he going to roll over or is he going to rally? So here we're sitting on a previous day's first presented fair value gap. And then the new week opening gap, new day opening gaps above. And I remember previously, I used to get chopped up in this kind of price action. I'd be sitting here going like, yeah, I know it's going to go from this level. Look, here's this level and this level, and there's an inversion. And I mean, I was looking back at some of my screenshots of some of my trading days from in the past. And there would be an execution and execution and execution and execution and execution kind of thing, like all in here. And generally it didn't end up well. This is exactly what we want to stay out of. And the clues we can have for consolidation are equilibriums. So previous day, previous month's equilibrium. We can look at the wicks of the candles. We can see, especially if we look at the higher time frames, and then lower probability conditions, which I would consider this week lower probability. I think I've taken 2 break-even trades so far this week. Now, last December was pretty nice. So it's not just December. December is lower volume, yes, but also if you look at the chart's a little indecisive on the higher time frame. If we looked at the weekly, like look at the weekly, it's indecisive. This current candle is indecisive. If it was going to be bullish, it should have gone. It didn't. It shouldn't have come in last week. Closed below this volume imbalance, so that's moved. That happens sometimes. Where go, closed above this volume imbalance and then inverted it, but it's got nowhere to go really. So it's just kind of coming down into discount on the daily. And then it had this consolidation up in here, a distribution. So we've had kind of bullish consolidation for a week, and then now we distributed yesterday, Friday, and a little bit of consolidation today. So the market, in my opinion, is a little indecisive. Oh, looks like it's wanting to go long. Wonder if other people are still in the trades. But who knows? It could stop hunt these, form this inversion, and then drop. I could very easily see it doing that. And I'm just happy I'm not in this. Especially for me, how tight I run my stop losses, I wouldn't have survived in there. So, Made some equal highs. Inversion. I'm more just bored. I probably shouldn't be looking at other traders. Because I told myself not to do that. Looks like Benjamin's out probably. I don't know if he got stopped or what. Yeah. And I'm not going to look at other people trading. I stopped doing that because that messed with me. Like I would get bored sitting here and maybe I'd look on Twitter. And I've really had to disconnect from pretty much all social media just from my own self. Like I would see someone take a trade and I'd be like, if I was looking at a setup and decided to skip it, but then everyone else took it, or if, like in the case here, like I get a little, I wish I had a way to get in on these expansive low resistance liquidity runs. I don't at the moment. And I know it's something I could change if I worked on it, but I'm working on other things right now. And so I find myself feeling a little bit of FOMO, maybe like the fear, like that missing out thing when I see other people got in on these runs and I didn't. Or if someone took a trade like this right here, if I was hesitating and I'm like, I don't trust this, but then it ends up playing out, I feel a little something. So I stopped looking at other traders. And it actually helped out a ton. There's so much noise. Like, this is the thing to do and that is the thing to do. Check this out, watch this. You know, social media is the currency is you, it's your attention. And while it's a good thing in some ways, because, you know, there's so much great free information and people share information, teachings and education, and you can learn so much. I learned so much from people for free, plus paid. Like I'm all for paying for courses and mentorships. It's really is worth it. It's which do you value, your money or your time? I value my time, so I spend my money to fast track myself in my endeavors. And where was I going with any of this? All the noise. And I feel like at some point, for me, this is a season of cutting out the noise. And I've been very inactive on social media, aside from just posting my YouTube stuff, because it's just me recording my process. This is kind of like my journal, and I'm gonna look back on this someday. But that's really helped out a ton. Um, it's reduced a number of the emotions that I was experiencing from seeing other traders, confusion and thinking I needed more. And really, I've been spending all of that time in the charts. I think it's too easy to get distracted by the next new shiny thing. And I've been making so much trading progress in the last couple months because of that, especially like with my year-long backtesting session. I'm just in love with that. And I know backtesting is this controversial thing, but I don't think you can argue that getting in reps is a bad thing. And no, I'm not saying backtesting replicates live trading. It doesn't. There's emotions that are involved in live trading. Like right now, in backtesting, I would have clicked through this and just like no problem. But right here, sitting through this, like, can you hold your emotions together and not take a trade in this garbage? Right? But I can do that. So it's like I don't have a problem here. But what the backtesting does is if I take one trade a day, which is typically less, it's typically like every other day I take a trade. You know, how long is it going to take me to get in 10,000 reps? You know, the reps they say it takes to master something, and screw the 10,000. How long is it going to take me to get 1,000 reps in? A long time. But in that backtesting session, I'm halfway through the year already, and I think I've done it in like a month. I mean, I've gotten in, a half a year's worth of trading in terms of days traded. I don't always like to look at it in terms of trades taken, which is important because you want to know your model and take your model, but also you want to know you want days traded because there are some days you don't want to trade, absolutely don't want to touch, and you need to have the reps in there too. And so I've been focusing pretty much all of my effort. I live trade my session here, and then I move on and I go to back testing as much as I can until my eyes are bleeding. And I'm posting all those videos on the YouTube channel here. And I feel like I've gained so much out of this season. I really feel like I've progressed a ton in so many ways. And I attribute that to blocking out the noise and just getting in the reps. However you feel like you should get in the reps. For me, it's live trading and back testing. And back testing the crap out of my model. And that's been a big deal. Like my stats are climbing on my back testing session pretty nicely. And so yeah, check out my back testing videos if you happen to care. I think I'm done. This is we'll see an expansion probably here soon. But what's going to happen, and I'll keep my eye on the chart, it's likely just going to rip one way or the other. So we have this consolidation here. And often what happens with this is that it'll do like one more little stop punt and then just do that. But how do you know that's the stop punt? Like, you could have thought this was the stop punt to go to sell side because it took this high. So it's gonna probably do something like that. And I can't partake in that. So maybe later, if it comes to a different level, maybe I can short up in here. Maybe I can long down in here. There's just is no trade for me in these conditions. Where's I'm gonna write a note. So yeah, I guess I did what the other traders didn't do today. I sat on my hands. And not that that's the right answer all the time. And I'm not saying, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, I'm sure Tanya and Lumi and Benjamin are better than me as traders if they're honest. Which in this day, obviously, we want to maintain a little bit of skepticism. I think that if anything, people live trading are the most honest, more than likely, because at least they're showing their skill off, and you could technically track it. One of my mentors, I watched him live trade every day, and I could sit there and see what he did and didn't do. And he might not have shared everything on like Twitter and the social medias, so that's not exactly an honest gauge. But I watched him for like 6 months, and every day, he did it, showed up, did his thing, and he won and he lost, but he was honest about it, and I could see that because I could see his trading. And what was I saying with any of this? Oh, so that, I assume Benjamin's a better trader than me. I assume Lumi and Tanya's are better traders than me. But I do want to pat myself on the back. Just, I do have a bit of a gut and a natural instinct for low quality setups. And maybe that's a bad thing because it does keep me out of some trades. In my backtesting data, it's showing me, I'm tracking that. I'm tracking all of the trades like this that I was hesitant on. And a strong majority of them were losers to the point where it's not profitable to take the trades I'm hesitant on at this point. So I at least want to pat myself on the back for that. I might not be a great trader yet. I will be someday. I'm getting in the reps. But I want to pat myself on the back for being hesitant in this for a bunch of different reasons. Look at that. I remember what I was telling you. When I drew this arrow, I said it was going to take a little bit of liquidity and then just probably dump one way. So I do want to pat myself on the back for that. Let's watch this for a second. I did what the other traders didn't do today. I sat on my hands. I was patient. At least the ones we checked out. Who knows? You know, like I bet my one of my old mentors, Hydra, he's probably flat. Now this is starting to look nicer. You see these gaps forming here? Like I could almost long this. It looks so nice. I'm not really that bullish, but if it takes these equal lows, I could see a long against this momentum. So I might wait for a little while. I was going to shut it down, but ugh, snap, crackle, pop. I need to get some more movement in today. I'm trying to get up earlier to do a workout before trading. I'm mountain time, so it's not the worst in terms of getting up, but it's also not East Coast time. You know, what's it, 2 hours difference, I guess. Um, but I do get in a walk on the treadmill before my session. That's the bare minimum, is a walk on the treadmill, and it really does help. Like it just gets the blood flow, warms up the body, and then I do a normal like kickboxing workout most days in the afternoon as a break between backtesting sessions. But I can't do the kickboxing because I'd wake my family in the morning. Oh, all right. All right, we're tapping into a 4-hour fair value gap. 1-hour fair value gap right below these equal highs, equal lows. Looks like we're outside of the macro though. All right, target acquired. I want to see it step a little lower. 157. That's the consequent encroachment of the 1-hour fair value gap. If there's a long, it's right here. And it could just totally get stomped on too, but the time doesn't match. It's 43 after. There's also no nice gaps right through here. And more than likely, this is against order flow. We look over on this chart, I said, if it's bearish from here. I did note the close above this fair value gap, turning it into an IFG, but I also said if it's going to be bearish, this is the place. So I was right about that. All right, so it's just smashing through this zone. That's telling me it is still going to keep going. But it's going to be a few minutes, I think. So we'll sit around and wait. I'm going to run, do something real quick. Pick up my breakfast dishes. Okie dokie. So don't want to see a candle like that. Doing the same thing it did earlier. Right there. Equal lows. I'm pretty sure it's coming for the previous day low. And really, that should be a good spot to see a reaction. So the trade of the day really was 8 in the morning. And really nothing else after that. So there is this breaker right there. And not that there was up. I mean, for me at least. Here's a breaker, but it's really broad and kind of ugly. Pre 930. And I did mention this short, but I would have been stopped out with where I place my stop. I don't use the swing. I use it like the bodies. And that would have paid handsomely. No, it's possible. It's possible I could be interested in this. This is also a monthly volume imbalance. Hmm. Could do one more push down, and I'd be interested. Much more than that, no thank you. Got 3 minutes left on this 1 hour candle. I don't like how these candles are just consolidating. I mean, this is a huge level for a reversal. Previous day low, tons of liquidity built up down below here, monthly volume imbalance. It's against order flow, but one would expect a reaction from such a level. But we're not getting it. So that might be it. That's all, folks, as they would say. See, like here's a, fair value gap. I know some people would, once this gap is created, mark it in on that, like consequent encroachment of the gap and do something like that. I need to come up with something like that to get on these huge distribution legs. So like at this point, if it closes above, I don't care. I'm not interested. Hmm, maybe. Let's see what this looks like. If there's a fair value gap on this side, it might be worth a shot. It's not really creating much of the impulse that I want to see. There's a little volume imbalance right there. That's better. It's something. But it's not looking like it wants to just start moving quickly. And we are starting to build up too many candles in here. I would be willing if this was all it wanted was a little bit of a deeper dig and then it comes up. But it's not wanting to do that. Just looking more like consolidation. I was going to give it a few more minutes here, but this is not looking high probability. So I'm going to call it a day. It keeps every time I get ready to shut it off, it gives me a candle like this that tells me I should watch for a minute. But I'm also noticing these equal lows built into this. 1104. So it'll probably close a candle above. The 5-minute is forming a C3 candle potentially. 15-minute potentially forming a C2. 10 minutes away on that one though. It's just not wanting to do it. See these tiny little candles? So I got to remind myself that I wanted to preserve my capital this week. I want to end the week well. Whew. And this seems like a low probability trade. I can feel it kind of tempting me, given that I didn't get any trades in yet. But I think I'm going to log off. So it doesn't tempt me any further. So yeah, I'm gonna let this one pass, but I think I want to log off because I think it's kind of tempting me and teasing me.